Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a special gift for you today, a live podcast show. This will actually be the replay of the live podcast show that I did a few days ago, where I had a special guest from Ghana educators talking about why literacy is important. So please go ahead and stay tuned. This is going to be a two-part series because very in-depth interview. I interviewed 3 people. And you're going to hear them speak today. And it was a very encouraging, motivating, and informative type session. I also had people to call in to provide their perspective, their insight, their experience, and their firsthand knowledge about why literacy is so important. Why we should continue to invest in awareness, being informed, and of course being inspired so we can inspire the next generation. Why it's important on the adult level. And we need to look at that and the motivation for us to continue to encourage the young children that reading is important. Reading is a rewarding type gift that we can give to the children that want to aspire to be more, right? To expand their frontier of their destiny. Now, today is also another focus on the event for the school that Mathias speaking on. That was my guest speaker last month. Going into February, he's going to speak today. So that particular event, that link would be in the description to find out about his school that he represents and what they're trying to achieve and the resources that they're looking to be able to have going forward. They have a lot of programs based around literacy in the community in Ghana and expanding in other schools in the area of the continent of Africa. This is a global movement, of course, but it's a movement that collect our memories and our understanding when we were a child and how we connected of reading books. And we want to be able to expand on that and connect globally. So that event in itself is focusing on his school that he's connected. Please go by and check that out. The link again is streaming from connected to my official web page, but it has a dedicated page specifically for his school and Mathias and what his committee of team members working forward to bring about a positive change in Ghana, like a positive change in the overall discussion of literacy. It's very important, and the other speakers today is going to expand on that, how it goes deep into the whole ingrain of what we consider a community. And I like to look at community as family, and family can be different ethnic groups, different countries, all connected to one on the main world objective, which is for us to be able to look at reading that it's a fundamental right, it's a human right, and we should be able to look at ways that we can help one another. All right, no matter what you can help with, that's the goal. So check out that event page, see what you can do, see what you can, even if you can tag or or tell somebody else about it or what have you, whatever. In this particular perspective, we take the blessings as they come, however shape or way that is positive, that is forward moving, and that is re-influencing, like I got to say, the 360. So at any rate, let's go ahead and get started with this live podcast. Again, this will be part 1, and then part 2 will be released. That will take us into March, and that date will be released because I release 2 times in a month. So this one is releasing today, February the 15th. All right, thank you and enjoy. Stay to the end, and then definitely check out the links in the description. And please, if you can as well, just tune in and share this with someone else. For the next part 2 will be released going into March. But for right now, we're going to focus on now and focus on the movement of literacy. All right. I want to thank all my guests for joining me today. I'm very excited about today's show and very appreciative as we focus on literacy and why it is about the communities. I have 3 guests today, and we're going to start in another minute. And just note there will be some audio delay, so just bear with us, but we will get the statements transcribed if it's to the point that it's not clear. I'll make sure that I'm typing some of that content in this particular chat. All right, so it's 2:34. We want to make this an hour. It will be a replay. That replay will be released the first half. The goal is the 15th of February. And then the next half of that would be going into the first week of March or so. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Nichel Anderson. I'm the host of 2 podcast shows, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success, and of course, Nichel Anderson Short Stories and Beyond. With that, we have 3 guests, 3 educators that's going to introduce themselves. First one I have up is Bernice. Bernice, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Bernice Amegede-Mawusi from Ghana, West Africa. I'm an educator. I completed my college in 2005, and I started teaching 15 years ago. I'm teaching in the capital city of Ghana, Accra, and I'm in basic school, and I'm teaching primary 6. I teach social studies and other languages, other subjects.
Thank you so much, Bernice. Our next guest, and that would be Edem. He also is an educator, a writer. He's going to introduce himself, and let's let him speak. All right. Edem, go ahead.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity, and greetings to all the listeners all over the world. I'm Edem Kusorgbor Fudeka, born 3rd June of 1987. I've trained as an educator from the College of Education in 2013. I had my BA in English language from the University of Cape Coast, Ghana. I'm currently teaching English language at the junior high level. I have passion for reading and writing. I am a poet as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Mathias, let's go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Mr. Mathias Tulasi from Ghana, West Africa. I am an educator and then the CEO of Literacy Ambassadors Ghana.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and get started with the podcast show. And the first question I want to ask is to Mathias. Why is literacy so important for the community, for community building? Why does it matter? Why should we care?
Yeah, thank you very much. Life is all about literacy. And we are saying that a reading nation is a winning nation. The importance of literacy are numerous, you understand, because the whole life is all about literacy. So literacy is very important in every community across the globe, you understand. So it means that literacy must be promoted in every community across the globe. It's so important. When you look at the importance of reading alone, you understand that literacy is a key component of survival in every society, you understand. Because in a society, for instance, we need teachers, and somebody must be educated to become a teacher. And it will take literacy to produce teachers. It will take literacy to produce doctors, nurses, engineers, and all those things, whatever you can think of. So in the absence of that, it means that we lack all these professions, professionals in our communities. And when you are sick, where will you go to? If you don't have doctors, you are sick. You don't have nurses, where will you go to? Where will you get health care? You understand? If you don't have teachers, how will you get educated? You understand? So you see that life is all about literacy. And it's because of its importance, literacy is key, and there must be a key component in every community across the globe.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I now want to go to Bernice. Give me one moment here. And now let's ask that same question to Bernice. Why is literacy is so important for community building? And why does it matter? So I'm going to give the mic to Bernice. And if Bernice still with me, she can chat. You could put a chat message that you're still there. You still connected. There you go. All right. Go ahead, Bernice.
Okay, I would like to add to what my friend has said already. Literacy enlightens the individuals, because the more you read, the more you know, and then the more you discover new ideas. Life is full of challenges, and we need more ideas to solve these life challenges and problems. So literacy is very important, because the more you read, the more you discover, the more you get new ideas to solve the life problems and the challenges. Example, if you have a health challenge in a community, the more you read, the more you will discover problem for those, the more you discover solutions to solve those problems. And then literacy also gives health security, because if you read, you understand some of the health issues. Example, this COVID-19 that is around, so many people don't believe it, but if they are able to read and they understand that the virus exists, the disease is around, it exists, they will find this, at least the prevention measures, they will go about it to prevent being infected. So I think literacy is a very good thing, and then every community needs it, and then to solve life problems. That is what I would say.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful said. Yes, it does. Reading does open your mind to new ideas, new frontiers, make you understand a different perspective and a different angle of, the abducted that we're talking about now. Builds the self-esteem up for you to know that you can do what you don't see. It's unseen, but you just got to keep moving forward. It's very inspiring reading. Thank you so much. Such a great answer. Thank you, Bernice. Now I want to go. Yes, thank you. Now I want to go and have Edem to answer the same question. So let me move the mic here. Okay. All right, Edem, go ahead and you answer the same question. Why is literature so important, you think?
All right, thank you very much. As the earlier speaker said, add my voice. Literacy is very important, and for building our communities, especially the human resource we have. Because you realize that without knowledge of reading, and right, we are lost in the world. The world is evolving, be part of the world. We need to be abreast with time. And how can we do that? It's only through literacy. So I say, and most of the times, that literacy should be a human right that every government should enforce, that every child, every citizen of its country gets literacy education. That is the foundation of education. Without literacy, education is nothing. So we need literacy in every aspect of our lives. That is how important it is for us. It matters a lot in every aspect of our lives. And if we leave literacy to a few, it means that the few that have the access to literacy will continue to be the rulers of the world, while the majority who lack literacy will continue to wallow in abject poverty. It's one cause. Literacy is one cause of our inability to progress as people in the world, especially in our parts of the world, Africa and Ghana especially. So I think it's very important for us to have a literacy education for all.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Ooh, that's a powerful, powerful statement. Thank you so much for that, Edem. Thank you. Let me go to the next question. The next question is I wanted to pose to you is, what do you think is the overall reason for the discrepancy in Ghana literacy rate compared to other countries? I want to go a little bit deeper in that, what Edem kind of touched, what he touched on, and the other two educators. So the question is, what do you think is the reason for the discrepancy? in Ghana literacy rate compared to other countries. We're going to go first back to Mathias. All right, Mathias, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. The issue is that poverty is a factor. You understand? Those who are poor, they are not able to access education. You understand? And then on part of government, a lot is not being done to make sure that literacy becomes a family culture, and then literacy becomes is a human right. By then there are efforts are not being made to make sure that every citizen is able to read and write. You understand? So it's like it becomes like those who are rich, they try to make sure that their children go to school, but those in the rural communities, nobody cares about them. You understand? So those are the challenges, and then poverty is a cause, is a main factor. Those in the rural communities, they do not have access to formal education, and you realize that those places, they do not acquire they don't have access to education, so they do not have knowledge. You understand? So that is a challenge at that area. You understand? But if there's effort from the part of government to make sure that every citizen, irrespective of your age, irrespective of your gender, and all your tribe and all those things, be able to acquire these skills, you see that the percentage will increase. You understand? But that is not the case as we speak. You get it? You go to a lot of the villages, the people cannot read, they can't write. Are you getting the whole thing? So there must be conscious effort from the part of government to make sure that every citizen should be able to read and write. But not until that is being done, you will see that the problem as it is now, maybe in future it will even be worse, or unless maybe we have a lot of the stakeholders, like we're also trying to do our best to make sure that we help people to acquire basic literacy skills. You understand? So, but I think that the main effort, as in how we go about all these things, should come from the point of government. If that is being done, you will see that people to acquire these basic literacy skills that we are talking about.
All right. Thank you so much, Mathias. You went all the way in there. Thank you. We got to get to the root of it and be able to talk about it as a community. And then if we could talk about it and get to the root of it, it allows us to be willing to look at it as a family. And he touched on that when I'm going to get to the next person to answer, but I just want to come in on that, what Mathias passionately said. Once you be able to get to the root of the issue, and we all see it as a community, that is family. So we can work towards helping one another, and we help one another. We build the communities that we wish, so we can have the peace of mind going forward for the future generation. So with
exactly
that done
so.
said, thank you so much, Mathias. I'm going to pose that same question to Bernice. All right, so let me get ready to give her the mic. All right. Bernice, go ahead.
Okay. I will continue to add to my colleague's submission and say that no role model in some homes to stress on education. This is one of the causes. No role model in some of the homes to stress on education and to assist children to go to school, to to learn how to read and write. So I would say that is one of the causes. In some homes, the parents are not encouraging their children enough to go to school. They prefer to take them along to market or farms or those kind of places instead of sending them to school or assisting them to go to school and then to learn how to read and write. So I think that is one of the causes. And then in some communities, to conflicts prevent the children from going to school. In some communities, conflicts such as war, and then other things prevent the children from going to school to learn how to read and write. And then no, in some communities, no proper structure for children, people to go and then learn under the structure for children to go and learn. There's no structure. So when they go, they just roam around and then they don't know what to do. Meanwhile, at that moment, they are supposed to sit and do some serious business. But because there's no structure for them, they just go roam about and then go back home. And then some of the students to their children to, because the parents are not ready to motivate them or help them. So they do whatever they like. In that case, they don't even know the importance of learning for them to learn how to read and write. So I think these are some of also the causes
Yes,
I'll say. Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much, Bernice. I totally agree. Without structure, it's hard to have a foundation of anything. And I know it's hard because sometimes with our busy lives or what have you, but you got to push through that. And you just got to know, I just got to get it done and look for the resources, which I know Matthew is going to talk about the resources and the programs that him and his team are working in the community in Ghana and that other communities of people that are listening that can help. But I totally agree with you on that, Bernice. Structure is important. All right, let's go. Let's see. Now we have Edem up. You're going to talk about that as well. Let me put you on, and there you go. And I have someone calling in. First, I'm going to take yours as Michael. I'm going to take your call after Edem answers the question, which is, what do you think is the reason for the discrepancy in Ghana literacy? Edem, you can go ahead. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, please. Okay. Um, on this note, I think as the earlier speakers have said, I'll add to that the major cause is, as Matthias said, is poverty. And then what the government is not doing to help promote literacy. It will surprise you to know that about 90% of our schools, from the crèche to the kindergarten, even primary schools, don't have reading books. So it's be very difficult for educators to help these kids to be able to get the literacy skills, the basic literacy skills. And in the rural areas, there is no motivation, as Benny said, there is no motivation at all for the young ones to follow. And then the structure that is needed for those who are interested in the urban areas, the structures are not in place. Classroom, sometimes you have the classroom, but you don't have furniture, and sometimes when you have the furniture, they are not in good shape. You don't have libraries, you don't have reading activities on the timetables. These are some of the challenges. That is why it is. These are some of the things pulling Ghana literacy rate as compared to the developing or the developed countries.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. All right. Very good answers. We're getting deep, and we got to get deep to be able to find the answer, or at least talk about the solution and how we can all come together to make it work. So I had a audience that wants to take the mic. Can you go ahead and click the call in again, and I can connect you. All right, there you go. All right, can you state your name to everybody?
Hi, my name is Michaela.
Ooh, Michaela, where are you from?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, where are you
I'm
from?
from Ghana.
Ooh,
I'm
Ghana.
from Ghana, Accra.
Welcome. What do you want to share with everyone here?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I'd like to share a few points that I have as some of the discrepancies in Ghana's education system and the
Right.
literacy offering on the whole. So my number one challenge is the fact that we don't view literacy as a service that we are supposed to provide our children as a community and a family, just as you were saying. We see it as schools are money making institutions, or we're just an opportunity for individuals to make money as perhaps teachers. That's what some schools do. I'm not saying everyone, but most of them do so, and that is why we have this complete low level of output production in Ghana's literacy industry. And our second is the fact that our children are not raised to understand that literacy is a tool that they can use to discover themselves. Reading books, writing is for them to also understand themselves. They are only taught to understand their environment, and they're taught in a way that they are supposed to memorize things and reproduce things forcefully, painfully during examinations. So they have to understand that reading is a tool for them to discover themselves, to find themselves in other people's voices. And that will help them know what they like, what they don't like, so that they can go towards choices that will help them be the best versions of themselves, and to be able to achieve purpose, to be able to know why they're here. Okay, maybe I'm good in tech. No, maybe I'm good in medicine. So I'm not going to go towards the tech area because when I read about it, I don't have enough interest in it. So reading is a tool for them to experience and know even themselves before even the world, right? So it's like a fusion of themselves and the world, knowing the two of them, and then being able to bring out the best in themselves and helping others as a result, right? The third issue is that the education structure and style is boring, not fun in Ghana. Like I said before, children are being forced to read and memorize. They're just forced to reproduce what they've already been given. And they're not taught writing. They're only taught, if they're even taught reading at all, which is not so active in Ghana. They're not taught writing as well, being able to express themselves. So you see a writing deficit whenever when they go into the job market. There's so many errors in pronunciations, in grammar, and so on and so forth. The fourth discrepancy in Ghana's literacy system is the nursery and kindergarten structure. For me, I believe that the nursery is like the root. Nursery literacy is like the root and the area where we can attack literacy in any community. When you get that point right, everything else sails through good. The child is like on autopilot. They're able to manage things on their own. They love if you build a love for reading, the love for exploring, the love for self-discovery and world discovery, that will help them eventually start off on a good note. It's like a launching pad for them, nursery. And you do that through colors, things that interest them. But in my country, unfortunately, most of we have good nurseries. We have now nurseries are accommodating color and all. But as they go on to grades one, grade two, you see them welcoming colors like brown, black, and the children they could have colorful books, but they are forced to cover them with brown paper because it is said that they want to preserve the books well and all. But I feel like eventually that kills their creative abilities. So it's like, okay, you started off on a good note. There's color and nursery, even though there's other things that they're supposed to be addressing that they don't, but there's color. Then eventually they go to grade one, sorry, grade two, grade three, then dumping it. Then they're supposed to memorize things as opposed to saying what they think, deriving how they feel about various topics and subjects in the world and about themselves. So basically, these are, in a nutshell, some of the some of the errors in our literacy system in Ghana.
Powerful. Thank you so much, Michaela. You broke it down. I love it. You gave so many gems. Um, that I'm trying to touch on as well. I know I have to move forward, but you gave so many gems. Some of them I really enjoyed and like, and you touched on a part about kindergarten. I was attest to that. That is true. I remember a teacher told me, they say the key to the child to read, they have to learn phonetics.
Mm.
Right. And without that, I remember she saying the child will not be able to read. It would be difficult. And I saw proof of that years later. And that all starts in kindergarten. I know here in the United States, we do, pre-K or what have you. But you're right, because at that age, they're grasping life. And also you touch on about the books and how they want to preserve. But really, you have to let the child see it all. And you was talking about colors, and I totally agree. It's color of the rainbow, right? And to
Mm.
me, that makes them, like you were saying earlier, and I'm not sure if it was Bernice as well. That just makes them to come up with new ideas, new solutions. Experience life. To me, reading is like water, and we all have to survive water. And you touched on all of that, on all of your points. I'm so happy and glad that you came in today, and I can't wait to we can have this replay, because this is some good information that we all presenting of the discrepancy in literacy, particularly in Ghana. So thank you so much for your answer and your presentation.
Welcome.
Wonderful job. All right, we have a next question. I'm going to give the mic to Matthias. And the next question is, as educators, what is the productive way to increase literacy from the unborn to the adult? So I'm going to give the mic to Matthias to answer that question first. All right. All right, Matthias, go ahead.
Thank you very much. We have the view that as literacy ambassadors Ghana, we have the view that issues of reading must be tackled from the point of pregnancy, during pregnancy, so that we are advocating that pregnant women. But then the issue is that before they get to that level, before they become couple and then being a pregnant woman, we have to promote literacy, from a very tender age. So that when the person develop love for reading from this tender age before becoming a pregnant woman in the future, then the person can now do the read aloud to the unborn child. Are you getting the whole thing? So if you're able to do this in so well, like I've always said, that literacy must be a family culture. All these things will be done so well. You understand? So when I have a child now, I should be able to help my child acquire these basic literacy skills that we are talking about. And if my child is able to acquire that, because I've imparted my child with that skills, when my child becomes a mother or maybe a father one day, they also, in a way, help their children to be able to also acquire these skills. You understand? So we need to take the thing from a very tender age, especially the school people. So, for instance, all the programs we are doing today, it is our view that some years to come we will fade off. You understand? And these kids that we are doing programs with today, they'll pick up the work that we are doing now. Are you getting it? And we will have a lot of students coming to join the literacy advocacy work, because our time nobody came to our school to do anything about literacy promotion. But today we go to schools to promote literacy among these students. We celebrate literacy days with them. I've never remembered when I was in primary or JHS or anyway, they celebrated Worry Aloud Day or they celebrated the National Literacy Day. No, nothing like that. But today, we mark these days with them. We are teaching them songs and reading. We are doing programs, grammar exercise, and all those things. So it's like, in a way, we are trying to send a message to these children. And when we fade off, they will now pick up the job. So what it means is that with time, issues of literacy, a lot of people will join the advocacy work. And these children that we are talking to now, they will take up the job. So a time will come now, you see that everybody will be talking about literacy. Where in every district in Ghana, we have districts. Where in every district, you could have literacy NGOs within every district to promote literacy within that respective district. Are you getting the whole thing? But it is not as we speak now. But then, when we are able to help these children acquire the skills now, then in future they will in turn pick up the job, and it will be far better than it is now. But I have of the view that those after us, the generation after us, should be far better than we are. And what do we do for them now? we have to help them acquire these basic literacy skills that we are talking about. And if you're able to do that in so well, it will help in the long run. You understand? Because somebody is pregnant, say he has not been to school, so she cannot read to the unborn child. But before that person becomes a pregnant woman, he has been a child. He has been an adult even before becoming a pregnant woman. So what help have we given to that person at a tender age before being an adult and then getting pregnant? Are you getting the whole? So if you're able to do this thing so well now, and the child, the girl in GHS now knows that, has heard that when you are pregnant as a mother, you have to read to the child. I asked my mother whether she has ever heard this thing before. She said no. I said, I didn't do it for me. Then she was laughing at me. Are you getting the whole thing? But my wife must now do for my child because she has gotten the information. Are you getting the whole thing? So whatever information we are sending now, our hope is that in future the things will be far better. So we have to make sure that we send information across the country. Everybody gets to know about this thing. Then they can. So we have to start from the pregnancy point of view. You understand? Because in the last thing I indicated that in Finland, when you are pregnant to go to antenatal for the first day, they give you storybooks. They give you storybooks for free to take home. Why are they giving the pregnant women the storybook? To do the read aloud for the children. But in Ghana, do they give this thing? How many even pregnant women know that when you are pregnant, you have to read to the child, do the second trimester? They don't know. But the information must get to the people. Then we have to help them to be able to read. So adult literacy is key. We have to help them to be able to read. If you help them to be able to read, then they can do this thing. When the child is giving birth to, whatever they have to do for the child to acquire this skill, they'll do it. I've seen a video of one Master Caleb at age 4. And Master Caleb, you can Google, you get it, Master Caleb. At age 4, Master Caleb gave a speech on the importance of reading at age 4. I watched the video, I was like, wow. So when I was at age 4, was I able to do what this guy? I said, no. So I said, no, I was challenged by that video. And I was like, I was doing it at age 3. My child must beat Master Caleb's record. It means that I have to do certain things for my child to be able to beat that guy's. But if every child, if Master Caleb at age 4 can give a speech about the importance of reading, and somebody is in maybe SS now, which is at a 20 or a 21, cannot even stand before public to talk, you can see the difference. You understand? So we have to help them at a tender age, and that must start from the pregnancy point of view. That is where we have to start the thing from the right distance, and then what they have to do. So every child must acquire basic literacy skill before starting school, but that is not the case as we speak now. You understand? So when everybody gets the education and we all know the right things to be done and we all do it, you see that all the children that will come to school, they'll acquire this skill, and the work of teachers to educators to will be very easy because the children are good from home before coming to school, but that's not as it is now. So it should be a kind of a marathon drive, to help everybody acquire this basic skill that we are talking about. And if you're able to achieve that thing, oh wow, in the near future, you see that the children that will come, they'll be expecting to see in the near future.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I totally agree. Because the babies the unborn can hear. They can hear music. That means they can hear your voice. And it really does matter when you start at that moment, or even get ready for that moment, and then it carries on. And then they memorize that, they learn it, they hear it, they used to get used to it by the time they're born, and then it's just continuing on to look at reading as the key. It's the nutrients that they need for the life that you want the child to experience and to have. I totally agree with that. You got to start when they're unborn, that early. And it plays into it so they can have that natural thing. Somebody is calling in to want to touch on this. So Matthew, I'm going to disconnect your mic, and I'm going to let this other person speak on this. Thank you so much, Matthew. And then I'm going to go around to Bernice and Edem. Hold on. Let's see who's calling in that wants to talk about, want to say something. Hold on. I'm going to get to you. Let's see. All right. Can you say your name and where you're from?
Yes, my name is Mrs. Akuswa Nelson Kofi. I'm speaking from Ghana.
Ghana, yes. What do you want to add to that, what Mathias spoke on?
Well, Matthew spoke about the role of NGOs in in promoting literacy. And I just wanted to say that for a long
Okay.
time, since my kids were very always tried to promote literacy. I had a reading
Right.
club for children and also a maths club as well.
Oh.
And later on in years, I'm getting close to pension, and I'm a governance volunteer for a project by a company called Beulah Bless Ventures. And this company
Mm.
is basically using technology to enhance literacy for children in
Mm-hmm.
schools and also in communities. So basically, what we do is that we are
Mm.
using a reading software from Renaissance that we purchased, the company purchased, called Accelerated Reader and
Mm-hmm.
Mayon. Accelerated Reader, with that, we provide the children with books. When they finish reading the book,
Mm.
every child is supposed to
Mm-hmm.
have a license, so you can log on to the system as a student, and then after reading your book, which when you
Mm.
you can take a quiz whereby you answer questions
Mm.
on what you have read. And
Mm.
then after that, after that, you are able to also take a vocabulary test. Now, on the other side, we as administrators, we are able to see the performance of the child, okay, whereby we are able to see what mark the child got for reading the book and what mark the child got for the vocabulary test, and therefore you can see the gaps that
Mm-hmm.
need to be filled. Earlier on, we had the
Mm-hmm.
STAR assessment where the child could actually take a quiz and you'll be able to assess the reading level of a child. What we found out was that children in public schools, maybe class 6, their reading level was that of a two-grader, second grader.
Mm-hmm.
So you realize that with these technological systems, you are able to assess, and then you are able to give students books that are within their level to read. With the with Accelerated Read, I'm sure Bernice will talk about it. She has used it within her community as well, and for a few other students as well. Then we've
Mm-hmm.
also ever brought in the Mayon. The Mayon
Mm.
has about 5,000 digital books on it,
Mm.
and as well, the children can, you know, take read the digital book and take a quiz as well. Now, with
Mm.
Accelerator Reader, it also has accelerated articles, a whole lot of articles. Just name it,
Mm.
from money, social sciences, technology. So, with all these articles, children are able to, if looking at money, for instance, there's literature on, or readings on how a child can be, babysit and get money. With that,
Mm-hmm.
children are able to uh, improve upon their financial literacy. For
Mm-hmm.
instance, help them, they learn to read, they learn financial. Major challenge, of course, we've had is that we cannot afford to give it to everybody because it costs a lot.
Yeah.
Because these licenses are procured from UK and then US. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what, and I believe, as he said, if it's not only government who must do it, but they can be individuals, there can be, NGOs, which can be, so everybody can give some quota to add on to what government is doing in the area of literacy. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that would really, really help. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ooh, that's good. I totally agree with the technology. To what Matthews has been saying and the others as well. In an interesting way to get inspired of reading and not make it so, boring, but make it interesting, because reading is interesting. They just don't realize it, so we have to present it in every single different way. And that technology really helps, because I know they have different like technology here in the United States for children where they can read. They use like a pen or a pencil, and they can take that tool and go over the word, and the pencil will speak and say the word and pronounce it. which goes into that phonetics. But I totally agree with what you were saying. And then some of it can be very expensive, but it's the investment as a community and as everybody that want to participate and help. But yeah, that technology is key. It really does helps to increase the literacy of the child. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you could type that program and the license that you were saying of that software in the chat would help as well. Thank you so much. All right, let's go to that question that I have. I'm going to pose that to Bernice. As educators, what do you want to add? Your mother did a wonderful job. What do you want to add to ways that you can increase literacy from the adult? Oh, okay, let's see. All right. Hey, Bernice, what do you want to add to that?
So happy, excited for my madam for joining us to add
Yes.
to what
Yes.
we are doing. I'm so excited.
Me too.
I thank you very much.
I thank you. Yes, I thank her too.
So she has helped me a lot to do a lot for the kids in my community and then in my school. And I'm grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great woman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To add to that, to promote literacy from the unborn to adult, I think Mr. Mathias has said it all. It must start from the adult literacy. The adult must be educated, because if you are expectant mother and then you are not able, you don't know how to read, how can you read to the unborn child? So I think this must start from the adults.
Right.
You must educate the adults, and then when they are educated, they can read. Then as they are pregnant, they can read the unborn child, and then the father is educated, the mother is educated. The mother can read to the unborn child, the father can also read to the unborn child. And then when that child is born, we take it from there. The child already developed love for reading before that child is being born. Then that child must also be educated right from day one, from crèche, from nursery to crèche to KG, and then to the primary schools and all that. The child must be educated. Then the cycle goes on. So I think from unborn to adult literacy, it must start from the adult. Adult literacy is very important, so that from there, the adult will help the unborn child. The unborn child will then be trained or will then be educated to get the literacy skills, so that as that child also goes, then the cycle will continue, will go on. That is my point.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I totally agree. Because if the parent can't read, then how will they be able to teach the child? So it goes back all, I remember Mathias has said, literacy should be a family culture. And I remember he said, I like, wow, that's so deep. And it's so true. And that's what Bernice was just saying. The parents and the adults has to get into the mindset that it's important. Not that, well, I'm just surviving, it's the next generation. As I like to say, it's the 360. So by learning and understanding how adult literacy is the key, helps us to be able to tackle this issue. All right, so I'm going to move on to the mic to Edem, so you could touch on this. What are your thoughts about this? What, as an educator, go ahead.
All right, thank you. I will add my voice to the earlier speakers. And first of all, on the reading to unborn babies is very important. And when that is done, when the baby is born, parents must make sure that they read aloud to the babies as well. That is one important thing we have to keep in mind. Then also, we also have to expose the kids to different sounds. Our toddlers, we have to expose them and the literacy materials for them to get access to the literacy materials as early as possible when they get used to them from. And one other thing I would like to talk about is on part of the educators, I think we are not committed enough for what we do, or probably maybe we are not motivated enough individually. By ourselves, we are not motivated, and even by our employers, we are not motivated enough to do what we have to do as educators. Most of us neglect the literacy aspect of the education. So what we do is putting into, they are not practical enough for them to get the literacy skills before getting to the next stage of the education. And then one other thing is government commitment. I think our government or governments in Africa are not committed enough, and the community leaders are not committed to the literacy development of the individuals in our communities and the country as large. That is why we are not able to provide materials for literacy education. So if government should put in much effort, supported by the NGOs and the opinion leaders, the chiefs and members of parliament, ministers and assembly members, I think when they put their hands together, we can push literacy forward, and children will get to love reading, and it will be part of them till adult age. Then the parent education, as earlier speakers have spoken about that already. Even at that, some parents are not committed. So I'm still echoing a commitment on part of the parents as well, to be committed to the literacy development of their own children. Some kids go home, their parents don't care whatever they have learned in school. They don't ask them anything. The next day, they are gone to school, they come back, nothing. They don't ask if they've learned what they've not learned, what went on in school. They don't even follow up to the schools of their kids to check how the progress of their kids. And this is very key to development of the literacy in Ghana. Then I would also like to touch on provision of libraries in our homes. It is very good for us to have libraries from the house. If every household gets a library, then it will become part of the family life to have time for library. And that will be something that when the child grows up, it will not depart from the child. And when I talk about libraries, it has to extend to the various schools. Schools should also have functional library, but functional libraries where we have books, where we have furniture, where we have a place comfortable enough for the child to go at leisure and read and understand. And it extends to the communities and the nation at large. So we have functional libraries functioning, and we are able to get people to go to the libraries. I think what we want to get, we can get that. The literacy development of people in Ghana will grow and maybe be at par with other developed countries. Then Mathias said literacy ambassadors are doing their best in some schools. They are trying to push all schools so that they will have various games that will interest students into reading or literacy education. So it will be good if all schools or all educators will put in much effort to have time for literacy games on their timetables, or maybe once a week in the schools. It will help to motivate the children to get literacy skills and keep them even as they grow. I think these are my thoughts on this particular question.
Thank you. You touched on a lot of things that I grasped and typed right here in this chat. Thank you so much for that answer. Ooh, that was a good one. Ooh, I love it. I'm trying to keep up, boy. Y'all giving me a lot of gems, and a lot of people to be able to listen on this. right, that wraps up for part 1 of my live podcast show. I'm broadcasting this on both of my podcast shows going forward. Part 2 will be released going into March, so please stay tuned for that. Please look into the description there where you can follow up on other things that's related to this podcast, and particularly the event that we're kicking off this month for the school that Mathias is connected with. They have at least 7 resources they're trying to see if they can receive that, and so you can definitely check that out. Whatever you can do, please just take a look at that. And also, you can tag and connect with Mathias on Twitter. He's very active on Twitter. He's also available on WhatsApp, and he's a very, very dedicated, passionate person, as well as the other guest speakers and our call-ins. It was very passionate. So I'm so grateful that they took the time to call in, have, the ability to be able to do that. I know everyone, whatever, couldn't be able to actually be here, but I know in spirit they was thinking positive thoughts, so we greatly accept all of that. Thank you so much. So I really appreciate today. Wait till you hear the other part of this. I decided to split it up because there was a lot of goodies they was presenting on the table on this subject. I'm very humble and happy that I was a part of it. So stay tuned for part 2, and thank you so much. You have a good one. Talk to you soon.